we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're recording. Great, thank you. Right, welcome everybody. Here we are, the first day of the new year in the Indian calendar. I certainly hope you all had an amazing Diwali. I certainly did. I spent the evening with my parents who cooked for me. I didn't cook for them. We had an amazing evening. We lit the house with candles and we spread the light together. It was absolutely amazing. And today is another first. It's actually the first of our new series of business tips, but not as you know it. Tips here are actually interviews with truly inspirational people, people that have inspired me, that I've learned from, that I've grown from. And really what we want to do with the Private Therapist Facebook now is bring more value for you. So that is really the idea of these series of talks. Today, I'm very excited because some of you may know I debuted at TEDx a few weeks ago. And TEDx is a speaker's platform, and it's a speaker's platform for spreading really amazing ideas that can help change the world. Now, at that event, I met an incredible lady. Now, this lady, she spoke about the exclusive nature of inclusion, and she got a standing ovation. And when you hear how this wonderful lady speaks, I think it will be very clear why that's happened. She is an international training facilitator and speaker. She's an author. She's worked with teams in self-development, sales, and service all over the world. And really, her thing is about the conscious application of NLP. So please welcome Jackie Handy. Jackie, hi. Good to see you.
Wow, what a lovely introduction. Good morning, Sunita, and a very happy Diwali to you and everybody else that's watching.
Thank you very much. Well, Jackie, look, let's get straight into this. Tell us about you and how you actually came to NLP.
Great. Okay. Well, so I worked in the corporate arena for around 25 years, and I was actually a recruitment consultant and a manager within that field. And the role really of a recruitment consultant is a sales role. It is a consultative selling process. So really, the intention is that you engage with individuals to understand what they look for in this case, their workforce. And from there, you look to see how you can meet those needs with a sales solution. And I did that very successfully for a number of years. And in 2007, 2008, as many of your listeners will know, the country kind of declined into a recession. And I was a manager of a very successful team of consultants at that time. And my role needed to change because the sales were just simply stopping almost overnight. Many of our sales diminished and opportunities diminished because companies, quite rightly at that time, were kind of tightening those purse strings.
Yeah.
And so my role became one, it had to really become more of one of I became a coach and a motivator and a consultant to the people in my team. And doing that and feeling that, not only that energy shift, but that kind of focal shift in my role, it kind of unleashed in me this new passion for development of others and supporting of others. And it took me quite organically in a different direction towards learning and development. And I was very lucky and fortunate that the company that I worked for at the time had an internal learning and development team. So I was able to make an internal move into that learning and development team. And by nature, by consequence of this, I really found that it ignited, I was 36, 37, and it really ignited my passion for learning again. And I'd always been very curious as to why we do what we do and what kind of makes the same kind of people achieve very different results. And despite seemingly the same kind of efforts, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So once again, this organically led me down this path where I came into contact, if you like, with this thing called NLP. And just to be clear for anybody watching, this stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And when I first came into contact with it, I thought, is this sort of some kind of crazy weird thing?
What is it?
Because I didn't understand it. And I think very often when we don't understand something, we find a reason to criticize it. But I found myself, thankfully, being very open-minded towards it. And I went and I took myself on a short introduction course to find out more. And really that was the first step in my NLP journey.
Amazing. Okay, great. And so NLP, neuro linguistic practicing,
programming.
Programming. How did that actually start? What are the roots of this system?
Okay, so just to be also clear for people that haven't heard about it, so, without going off on too many tangents, but NLP or neuro linguistic programming it literally means the way in which the language that we use influences how we think and feel, and the fact that actually if we use our language with conscious intention, this can really help us in a variety of different situations in life, and it allows us to thrive in our lives. And how it came about was back in the late 60s, early 70s, two Americans. One was a lecturer. In fact, he was a professor of linguistics at the University of Santa Cruz in California. And he was lecturing there. And he met up with one of the students, quite a long story, but I'll try and keep it brief.
Okay, great.
He met up with a student there who had been studying and transcribing the audio from a Gestalt therapist that was teaching at the college. And he was quite interested in how this Gestalt therapist was achieving such amazing results in terms of state shift, in terms of development of the students that he was working with. This student, whose name was Richard Bandler, who'd been transcribing this piece of work, was curious as to how what he did worked.
Okay.
The story goes, there's many different stories, but the story that I know goes that he approached the lecturer, who was John Grinder, and he said, look, I've been doing this transcription work, and I'm curious as to how the language is working. And the lecturer, who of course was the lecturer of language, he said, well, look, I don't really understand it, but I'll take a look and we'll find out how it works. So that's what they did. And so this is a very brief, high-level overview of the story. But the long and short of it is that the two of them formulated this partnership, and they decided to model different successful people in society, one of whom was a relationship counselor, Virginia Satir.
Yes, systemic relationship coaching.
Indeed, absolutely. And the other was one of the most influential and successful hypnotherapists of the time, whose name was Milton Erickson. What they did is they were able to gain access to just listen, and they kind of listened, and they then decided, okay, so I wonder if we use the same techniques, could we get similar results? And they found that actually, in part, they could get some similar results. And so they then started to consciously code the language as well as the behaviors that they had observed. And they formulated two linguistic patterns. One is known as the meta model, which is the model from Virginia Satir, which is very much about how we can chunk down our language into the detail.
Yes, yeah.
And the other pattern that they modeled was Milton Erickson's, and they formulated what's known as the Milton model, which is
Okay.
how we can generalize our language and chunk up.
Mm.
And this is really important, with the positive intention of creating choice for people around us, ourselves and those people around us. So this is a very, very dampened down version of the origin of NLP, but it's truly fascinating. It's often simply defined as modeling excellence.
Okay, mate, and we all, isn't that a path for all of us? That we should all be operating at the highest level that we possibly can.
100%, yeah.
Now, our listeners, this is the private Facebook page for therapists that have trained with Tri-Dosha.
Yes.
So, thinking about therapist practitioners,
sure.
What can we do with NLP? Why should we learn NLP?
Okay, so to be clear, which I haven't really made clear, but NLP and what I learned through NLP changed my life beyond my wildest expectations. Because the great thing about neurolinguistic programming is we start from within. And I'm sure that you and your therapist team that are listening here today really understand the importance of operating from the highest possible place within yourself before you can even begin to influence and support and enlighten those around you. So for me, I went on a very personal journey with this. And the way NLP really works is, before I can use language to positively support and influence and help change the state, if you like, of others around me, I truly need to embrace that within myself so that I'm operating from the highest optimum state for myself in any given situation. And so I was able, as a now training consultant, able to even just play with some of the concepts of NLP, think about how I was changing my own state to come from the best place possible, but also how then could these techniques support others. And I want to also make the point that it may sound on the surface quite manipulative, and manipulation often has very negative connotations to it. But I would challenge that, because I believe that manipulation from a place of good intent and positive intention is actually a really good thing. And I think that whenever we engage with others, whenever we look to support others, and whenever we are looking to, whether physically with our hands or verbally with our voices, we are looking to take people on a journey to allow them to have more resource open up to them, we are manipulating. And again, this is doing it with positive intention. And
actually that's it, that really, when we look at things from a bodywork perspective, actually we are manipulating the tissues, we are manipulating the energy, and that in essence is to drive the energy forward so that we have a positive manifestation through the body, which then supports the client in their life and
there's so much
that they're having.
So much beautiful synergy. And I think also, I find that I typically now use my verbal language very consciously. And so it allows me really to take people that I work with on a really lovely journey to find solutions and ways forward that really work to support them and their businesses. And so I think also from the perspective of your therapists that are looking to absolutely 100% congruently and ethically grow their businesses, the process of so-called hard sales perhaps wouldn't come very easily for those people. And I mean that very respectfully to your audience, because actually, even as somebody that's grown up, if you like, in their career around sales, direct selling and forceful sales and taking people on a journey that's not right for them doesn't sit with me either.
No.
And so what NLP allows for me is to really consciously engage with those people in a way that is right for those people, and to give me the confidence. And again, I use this term congruency, because I think, you know, if you are incongruent or insincere with your message, it becomes very transparent.
Yeah, yeah.
So I believe that when we are passionate about what we do and the purpose behind what we do, this gives us the first step and a springboard to work from a place of real transparency. And I'm sure that's very much the case with people in your networks that are watching this, that, you know, they want to be sure that actually the way in which they promote their services and the way in which they engage others to buy from them is for the very best intention for them, not as consultants and therapists, but actually for their audience and their clientele.
And how they share their messages, how they deliver that. No, absolutely, Jackie. I mean, that's a really big area for therapists and practitioners, because ultimately, you know, you become attracted to wanting to facilitate treatment to help heal your clients. And actually, you know, when you start to walk this path, you know, 40% may be the service that you deliver, but 60% is really you growing your network and your marketing, and so there's a lot of shift that will naturally need to happen for a therapist and a practitioner in order for them to be able to build their professional practices. So that's, you know, that's really great to hear that actually NLP can help support. It's that, you know, conscious networking, conscious sort of language that you use in order to promote. Now, just staying with that connection, how can a therapist actually use NLP in their actual work? So not from a point of view of sales, but actually from a point of view of work. If they wanted to actually, you know, train in NLP, how would they bring that into their practice? How could that work? What would it look like?
Sure. Okay. So I'm very aware that you also have a focus around mindfulness.
Yes.
And mindfulness and NLP just align so beautifully, because NLP and the structure of our language, by the way, nobody learns language that they don't already use. What we study in NLP is the impact of that language that we use, really at a conscious level, on our own self-esteem, on our own confidence, and on our own intention. But also, we start to notice more about the impact of the language that we use on those around us. So for your therapists that are probably using, without even realizing, some mindfulness techniques, some neurolinguistic programming techniques in the work and the language that they use, this will just, NLP just allows them to really hone that and refine that to a detailed level, so that even when they are delivering that therapy, if you like, and using their hands, their verbal language that is used at the same time aligns with that. And that will have maximum input or impact on their clients at that given moment in time. And the other way that they can use it is to very ethically take their potential clients through their marketing and their written language, from their verbal language, on a beautiful, very aligned journey that will feel good, for want of a better word,
absolutely,
but also will help their clients feel good too. That's really what they can get from it.
Okay. Now, I know you facilitate training programs yourself.
I do.
if a therapist, let's just take a look at that example. If one of us was attending one of your workshops,
Yeah.
what would that look like? How could you assist us in actually supporting our businesses and our practices?
Sure. Well, actually, I am going to be running a 2-day introduction course to NLP later this month, which I'll tell you more about shortly. But within that, I actually have a yogi.
Okay, great.
A yoga teacher.
We've got lots of yogis in our network.
Right. Okay. So she contacted me and said, look, I would really love to know more about, funnily enough, how I can use this to cross over in the work that I already do. And she's a very successful and very well-established yoga teacher, so I was very flattered about that. And at that same time, funnily enough, following our TEDx experience, I had a couple of ladies who approached me and said, how did you frame that presentation? How did you consider the language that you used? Because if anybody watches the TEDx that I did, you'll get a sense that I've really thought very consciously about what I say, how I say it, and how the whole TEDx is structured. So it makes it sound quite contrived, but obviously with any important pitch or presentation or sales conversation, it is important that you give it forethought. So I said to these ladies and the yoga lady that I met, and I said to them, look, I'm going to create a 2-day program tailored around these core themes. So let's work through actually what these language patterns involve and how they influence not only us as the speaker, but also the people that are listening. Also, we're going to do some work around managing our own state. So if you, I may come across quite confident here, but actually I have times where I'm very nervous, and that is okay. Because we all have that and we all experience that. There's nothing wrong with that. The way in which we manage our nerves, that is the thing that's really important.
Yeah.
When I get nervous, I recognize that actually that's a positive shift for me.
Yeah.
If only I can just work out how to manage that so that it doesn't destroy what I'm intending to do.
Yeah.
So we're going to be working about state management, state shift, so that perhaps if you've got something upcoming that you're feeling a bit nervous or concerned about, NLP can help us very quickly and simply, and there's no kind of magical mystery tours going on. This is all legitimate stuff that can help us make these shifts from how we see something currently to how we look at seeing that moving forward, and really neutralizing any destructive emotions that we feel to allow us to operate from a higher plane.
Yeah.
So anybody looking to hone their language, anybody looking to feel that they want to give more presence and confidence in their demeanor when they're either working with current clients or building up new. That's the sort of thing that you can do.
Yeah. And what about also, so with our practices, we'll often have literature, we'll have written material. And, often therapists, we're focused more on our practice and our facilitation of our therapies and our treatments, as opposed to maybe the content that we write and how we deliver that. So I hear you with regards to delivery. That's amazing, because I saw it myself. You got a standing ovation, Jackie, and the power in your delivery was really phenomenal. And like you say, there's a subtle flow with all of the words that actually take the audience through the different feelings and shifts that we were feeling as you were talking. But then, when you're building a practice, there's also content. So can an NLP actually, you can help with that as well?
100%, 100%. So I've worked with many different groups of people, from sales individuals to people that are looking at marketing. And it doesn't matter what it is you're marketing, although to have that spiritual connection to the work that the people in your networks do really aligns with how NLP can support them. But actually, there are, through understanding the conscious influence that language has on us, That language can be the spoken or the written word, and I've worked with some very successful salespeople in the past, and what they're selling doesn't really matter, but salespeople, and they've said to me, look, you know, I put out this this advert or this piece of marketing, and I've struggled a little to get a response, and I don't really understand why sometimes my marketing gets a response and sometimes it gets less of a response. And when we've looked and analyzed and aligned the language they've used within those two pieces of marketing with the teachings of NLP and those linguistic structures I talked about, it becomes very apparent and very obvious why one is more successful than others. And you know, the great thing is it's not about having to relearn everything. It's about refining what we already know. And isn't that just a wonderful thing to know that, you know, when we just become more observant about the things that we say or the things that we write, we can have vastly different results.
Amazing. And Jackie, just finally, if you can tell us about your workshop. I know you have one coming up. Let us know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd be delighted to. So the workshop will be running on the 29th and 30th of this month. So not long now. And the cost for the 2 days is just £299 plus VAT. And for that, we will be working across those 2 days, talking about all the things I've already spoken about and more. And we, as you can tell, I like to work with very small groups because then you get that intimate focus around the specifics that you want to look at. So I'm open to taking just 5 more people on that course. It's going to be taking place in Worcestershire at a beautiful hotel. Please check it out. It's called the Dunsley Hall Hotel in Worcestershire. It's in beautiful surroundings, very aligned with the kind of environment that I like in that regard. And as you can tell, as I said before, a very small group, which means that we can tailor exactly what you want to work on to you and your business. So the cost includes, of course, the teaching and all this fabulous learning that is available to you, but also you even get lunch and refreshments throughout those 2 days as well. So that is my introduction to NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I'd be delighted to hear from anybody that would like to take part. And
Jackie, how can our viewers connect with you? If they have any questions about the interview, or they want to get in touch with you about the workshop, or simply follow you.
100%. Okay. So I'm, as you can imagine, all over social media. So you could connect with me on Facebook. So I have a Facebook page, either under Jackie Handy, that is my personal Facebook page, but you're welcome to join me. I also have my business page, which is Runway Global. So you can join me on there. I have a YouTube channel, which also might give you a little bit of an idea of the sorts of things that I'm passionate about. I have many, many videos on there. And that is also under Runway Global. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I do lots of work on LinkedIn too, and that is under Jackie Handy. So sometimes I'm under Jackie Handy, and sometimes I'm under my business name of Runway Global. But I'd love to have your company, so you're very, very welcome to join me. And just reference Sunita in this video, and then I know who you are.
That's great. Okay, guys, well, that was our first business tip. Thank you, Jackie Handy. Jackie Handy talking to us about the conscious application of NLP. Thank you very much. I'm Sunita. See you again next week. Take care. Bye.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.